Hello, neighbor. I'm Robert Burns, and welcome once again to another edition of Sound Off Louisiana. As I have beside me, and I'm sure you recognize him, this is none other than Mr. Billy Broussard, and we are standing in front of Louisiana State Police headquarters. Now, we're not going to give a review about the whole St. Martin Parish situation, but the bottom line is Billy Broussard has just filed a formal complaint with Internal Affairs with regard to the actions of Trooper Scott Lopez on Monday, June 14, 2021. And we've already chronicled those actions. They're contained within the complaint, so I'm not going to rehash them here in front of the camera. But I want to say one thing. It's my understanding that you came about to do this as a result of having seen a Sound Off Louisiana feature which focused on Colonel Lamar Davis in that building right over there. He gave a press conference and he encouraged, correct me if I'm wrong, did that not what the video said? He said, if you have an issue with a state trooper, we ask that you please let us know. File the complaint. That's what he's doing. So I'll tell you what, we want to break away for just a few moments and let you see Colonel Lamar Davis himself making that appeal. We'll be right back.
It's important that we realize that. So I want our citizens to understand that if you encounter a situation where a trooper may not be acting in a certain manner, contact our agency, notify our Internal Affairs.
All right, as you've seen, Colonel Davis made that appeal. Mr. Broussard has followed up on it. And let me just say this. We're going to give you the video of the pulling over of Mr. Broussard's driver on June 14th. At Sound Off Louisiana, we have been waiting for that for some time. We had also requested the audio of the calls made to Troop I between 2 o'clock and 5 o'clock that day. State Police says that they're still working on trying to recover those audio files. I'm only relaying what Nick Manali said. Nick Manali also indicated that body cam footage had been recovered of the incident. All I can tell you is we were only supplied with dash cam video. Furthermore, that dash cam video, and we're providing it to you as a separate video on this feature, does not contain any audio. And obviously the audio is of critical importance because the allegations are the type of verbiage that Trooper Lopez allegedly used in this pullover. But let me just say this. If it had all just ended there, in fact, it had been pretty well attributed within an hour or so after the incident that, okay, we're just going to chalk this up to Trooper Lopez having a bad day. In fact, Billy has previously asserted that in the first installment that we did on this series, but it didn't end there. So, and I want to emphasize one thing, and then we're going to let Billy speak to you. You know, Mr. Broussard is quite fortunate in one respect. He had to retain an attorney to deal with this whole matter about his farming operations, and that tab is, and the clock's running, but that tab has been over $20,000. Now I want you to hear what I just said. $20,000, okay, in attorney's fees. I think you would know the average person is going to be hard pressed to have $20,000 to try and deal with these inner workings between state police and parish officials. And when I say parish officials, I've never seen anything this close to a dictatorship in my life. When you say parish officials, you may as well be saying Chester Cedars. So I'm going to, Mr. Broussard, can you just tell me what are your thoughts about working with parish officials? We're seeing that there's a finite number of people that would have filed a complaint. Supposedly a complaint was filed literally the next day. And the choice, since the restraining order that we have provided in a prior feature, that is deemed to be, I have used questionably legal. But I've had some folk with a little more legal knowledge than me have said, no, you may as well say illegal, okay? I'm not going to do that because I'm not an attorney. But at any rate, its legality has certainly been called into question. But as I understand it, subsequent to this traffic incident, you find out that and it's indisputable now that Trooper Lopez has gone door to door, knocking on, trying to rally the forces, so to speak. He admitted that he was meeting with parish officials the next evening. The complaint was filed the next evening. There are only 3 non-parish employees on that restraining order listed as witnesses. So in theory, you would say you've got a 1 in 3 shot, but I think the odds tilt toward Lopez because he appears to be the ringleader. So I'm going to let you just chime on in with your thoughts about this whole matter and what ultimately led you to feel like you had to take this action that you've just done in turning over that. And we're going to give you a copy of the complaint, and we'll highlight certain segments of it. It speaks for itself. We're not going to rehash it here on the camera, but what finally led you to believe that, hey, I've got to do this? Let you take over now.
Well,
speak up.
I would say the video I saw with Colonel Davis, what he had to say, and the fact after I received the lawsuits and seen that Trooper Lopez was involved, and man to man, I mean, the Trooper I called me. I mean, I called them right after the incident happened. Then Trooper Lopez called me, and man to man, having a conversation, he asked me, hey, would you please come the other direction when you can, not to pass in front of my house? I said, okay. I'm not the type of person that wants to irritate anybody. I said, any chance I can, I'll come from the other way. I said, but I'm not going to be on that side of the highway just to say and come all the way around. You're just going to have to forgive me for the times I do have to pass, even though it's perfectly my right to pass. But when I started seeing his names in the lawsuits, his names, and you know, hearing the parish president, Justice Cedar, say that, you know, that there was a complaint the next day of that date when he pulled us over. So I said, wait a minute, he's apparently not just chalking this up to having a bad day. The neighbors calling me, telling me that he had been to their house.
Door to door, right.
Door to door. So I said, okay, this is going beyond. So it's, you know, man to man, he's a neighbor. I don't see him. He lives, you know, how many across the field or whatever. But he lives next door to my dad. Where, you know, so in that I was, hey, man to man, I'm gonna respect him. Hopefully he respects me. But then seeing he got involved he was involved in the litigation, and I'm assuming it's his complaint. I don't have proof of it just yet. But the thing is I said, you know what, I'm gonna have to do something, because on top of that, through this process, through the restraining order, cease and desist, on and on, eventually it came to, hey, the parish says we can work this out. But it's a little too late. It's, you know, when you bullied, I mean, you can't bully someone, cause damages, and then expect to just walk away. I mean,
no harm, no foul,
yeah,
right? Well, there is some harm and foul for
right.
you. You've had to write a check for $20,000,
and it's still going. So the thing is it's like, wait a minute, we'd have just chalked this up for him and him having a bad day. We went our separate ways. But that led to, now we're at least at $20,000 and the clock is ticking. So the thing is it's like, wait, somebody's going to have to reimburse for these attorney fees, because they do all this. And at the first complaints that were filed against me a year before, which was just a next door neighbor, me and him, the parish gets with him pretty much, from what I understand, told him he's within his rights, which I still.
I want to stop you right there. Billy talks a little fast. Let's slow it down just a bit. We're talking about literally a year ago, correct?
Right.
Complaint was filed. Everything got resolved. But yet, when Trooper Lopez
got involved,
right, it wasn't until the end of that week before you were getting a C&D letter.
Exactly.
That C&D letter is provided with the documentation that he's just filed as part of the complaint. So is the text that you got from a neighbor saying, oh yeah, Trooper Lopez came knocking on the door explaining what all was going on here.
Right.
So he's not just filing a complaint that's devoid of substance. Just like in the other matter we've covered with Billy Broussard, he's got extensive material to back up those things. And so I'll let Billy wrap it up, but Colonel Davis said, hey, if you have an issue with a trooper, don't just sit there silent. We did wait until we at least got the response from state police about what videos we would be able to get. You look at, we've already requested the policy on the body cam. He should have had his body cam on. Clearly he didn't. I mean, notwithstanding the fact that Captain Manali said we've got body cam, the reality is you're going to see all that they say that we've got, or they have, state police, and that is dash cam with no audio. Again, I want to reiterate that our request for those audio files of incoming and outgoing calls to Troop I, and by Mr. Broussard's own admission, you will see it in the complaint. He uses the word irate. He was not happy Okay?
No, not at all.
I don't think any citizen who's told you can't go down a public road is going to be real thrilled. But in the interest of full disclosure, Mr. Broussard did blow off some steam with Troop I Command. But
right. And I was hoping we get that recording, even though, like I said, I admitted to being irate. I mean, a trooper tells you can't come down can't go to your property, and I'm not going through, I'm going to my property. So the thing is, yes, I was very upset. That's why I was hoping. I said, well, hopefully they'll produce it, because I want all the cards on the table.
Don't want anything.
I'm not trying to hide nothing. I'm trying to say something didn't happen that did happen. So it is what it is. And look, when this is all said and done, Trooper Lopez is a neighbor. Hopefully we can shake hands and go about our way, but we have some attorney fees we're going to have to address.
That's it.
And I mean, the thing is, if I was doing something so wrong, the parish would have never continued and said, hey, just keep operating, doing your thing, do your farming. No, I mean, you're not going to take on that liability that if I was doing something that would harm any constituent, that they would just say, hey, you got their green light, just continue operating. Because I wasn't doing anything to hurt anybody, including Lopez said, I don't care what you're doing on your property. I just don't want you to come down my road.
Down the
road.
road.
The thing is, regardless what happens, I still own that 33 acres next to his acre and a half. So
Correct.
the thing is, I'm still going to go to my property.
Correct.
So the thing is the one thing he definitely doesn't have in his corner is stopping me from going down the road. So even if whatever happened with my farm, I'm still going to go to my property.
Well,
so I'm going to, at times I'm going to have to pass in the front of his house. So the thing is what he didn't have any issues with what he told me. I don't care what you're doing on your property. So the thing is, that's why you asked me to, the parish says, hey, I mean, my attorneys file. And the parish president they say he's smart, and I understand. He read the case law and read all the laws and said, you know what, we need to, we're going to have to,
we're going to have to back down.
We have to back down.
And that's
the law is what the law is. And I respect my parish president for that. He says, hey, the law is the law. So apparently he looked at it and said, you know what, we're going to have to cooperate here. So they agreed to.
And I want to say one thing. When you talk about literally issuing a restraining order, they ought to be posing a clear and present danger to the public for that to be justified. It's completely absent.
It's a form.
It is completely absent. That's why I said in the previous feature we did, this was the most unbelievable example of government overreach I've ever seen in my life. So we're going to go ahead and plan to wrap this up. Captain Manali has not totally ruled out being able to get those recordings calls that went into and out of Troop I. Now perhaps internal affairs can exert a little more influence, and maybe we'll have a higher probability of getting those audio files, because I very much want to hear them, like to provide them to the audience. Unfortunately, at this point, I cannot, because they're telling me that there was a temporary recording system in place, thereby making retrieval of these audio files. He hasn't said it ain't going to happen, that it's impossible, but he hasn't been very encouraging, he being Captain Manali. So that's going to be it from my vantage point. If you've got any final concluding remark you'd like to make, feel free. Otherwise, we hope everyone has a very happy upcoming Thanksgiving holiday. And as you would know, we're going to keep you up to speed on this latest travail of Farmer Billy Broussard. Thank you so much.
Thank you.